Well, there's so much that we can learn from history, and not canceling it, not pretending it didn't happen is so important. My next author, D.W. Duke, wrote a book called Not Without a Fight, A Polish Jew's Resistance. DW, we're so glad that you're here today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
This is a really important topic. Let's start with what the overall message. What are you trying to share as the main message of the book?
Well, it's a biographical novel, and I'm taking a historical event in the life of Cass Bieberstein, who was a person, 8-year-old boy when Germany invaded Poland, and he was forced to live through the Holocaust. And what he did, he became a resistance fighter. What happened in Germany actually has a lot of relevance for today for us, because of the polarization that we have in America is quite similar to what was going on in Germany before Nazis came to power. So the message is we shouldn't be erasing history. We should be learning from it. John Stuart Mill, Hegel, many people said that. So that's what we should be doing.
That's a scary statement that you can compare at all, even in the ballpark of history in that arena. Um, let's start with why the Holocaust occurred.
Okay. Well, Germany had just come out of World War One. They were forced to pay very high reparations pursuant to the Treaty of Versailles. As a result, taxation was very high. People were having trouble just existing, just subsisting. They were angry, and the Jewish people had always been the scapegoat in Europe for many things for centuries. And so it was perfectly natural for the Hitler to use that as a scapegoat. There was a document called the Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion, which was a forgery that talked about the Jewish people trying to take over the world. It was a forgery. No Jewish people had written it, but that was what he used largely as the impetus to turn against the Jews.
Sounds like what we would call fake news today.
It is, exactly.
That's kind of scary. I'm seeing parallels already that are disturbing. What is a biographical novel, and why do people write them?
Well, biographical novels are similar to a historical novel.
Okay.
Historical novel takes an event in history and builds a story around it. You put in dialogue, install characters and so on. A biographical novel is very much the same, except you're focusing on one person, one individual, or maybe two
Oh,
individuals.
okay. Okay.
And so it's kind of like a biography, but it's written in the form of a novel. You put in dialogue to make it so people enjoy reading it. It reads like a novel, but it's true stories.
DW, I want you to share a little bit more about the parallels that are happening today. I mean, we're seeing higher gas prices. We're already hearing about buy your Christmas presents now. There's going to be a shortage. I'm hearing about shortage of turkeys for Thanksgiving.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
these are all things that were very tangible that we're experiencing today. That we go, oh, wait a minute, this doesn't feel too good.
Well, unfortunately, I'm not very impressed with the representation we've had in Washington for quite a while. Identity politics are being played by people on both sides of the aisle. They're using it to try to further their political agendas, and that's a very dangerous thing. What they try to do is identify a group of people and single them out and say that they're different, and because they're different, we should dislike them or whatever. Sometimes they will take a certain group of people and claim that they are victims and build this huge big story about how they're victims, and it may not even be true, but they say, oh, we're the ones trying to help the victims, and the whole thing's a sham. And we've got that going on in America. And then we have political parties turning against one another, actually because of their political views. So this is a very dangerous time in America today.
You sound like a very reasonable person that's able to see both sides. You don't sound like you're out for revenge or vengeance or anything. I mean, there's doesn't seem to be an agenda for this book that's not reasonable. I mean,
That's true. It's very unreasonable. It's built on greed. People who want to pursue their political careers is one of the primary reasons. For other people, it's finances. It's been something that has plagued the world since the beginning of time. People try to put their own personal interest ahead of that of the people. Politicians, as a general rule, do not know the meaning of fiduciary duty. They don't realize that they have a fiduciary obligation to society to do what's best for the people.
what can we do? You know, I mean, outside of voting, how can we kind of learn from your book and go, this, I'm going to shift my way of thinking, or I'm going to change the way that I do business, or what do you want people to do after they read your book or learn?
Well, education is a very important element of any society. I would like for people to read the book and then think about the content and share it with other people who might benefit from it. People who can understand that when you do a lot of the things that happened in Nazi Germany and in other countries at different times, that it's not beneficial to the society as a whole. So I think that the best thing for people to do is learn history, and this is a good way to do it.
What do you see for the future of your book?
Well, we have financing for a motion picture. We anticipate that it will be made.
Wow.
We anticipate it's going to be into a motion picture fairly soon. We've talked with a number of production companies in Hollywood, and we're actually interviewed with 7 of them. All of them are interested, but we've selected one. I can't reveal the name at this point, but
Sure.
yeah, we do anticipate that it will be made into a motion picture and will be a springboard for other projects. We have another documentary series that we're working on through our own production company called Generation to Generation. Working on that with my cousin Tom Biebers, who is the son of Casimir Bieberstein, who's the subject of the book. So education is largely what we're doing.
What surprised you the most when you were doing your homework on this book?
Well, I'd always studied the Holocaust. It was an important time in history, and I have Jewish ancestry. They were not in the Holocaust, but it was a matter of interest to me. I think there were things that I learned when I got into the details and actually interviewed Cass, who was the resistance fighter. At the age of 10, he was a sniper for the underground in the Jewish ghetto, and he was doing very well. I would say that I learned things about the Holocaust I didn't realize. For example, we know that the uprising, the Jewish uprising in 1943, actually lasted about a month. And we think, well, it was a month and they did a lot of damage, but, we didn't really see the end result until Cass pointed out to me, what you don't understand, they had to bring in troops from the Russian front to fight, to put down the Jewish uprising. So it actually had a major impact on the war that most of us don't even realize. And historians haven't even realized it.
I think that's really the dangerous thing is that things that are happening in our time, it's almost like boiling a frog. It happens. It seems so natural. It makes sense at the time until you look back and you go, did that really happen? It's kind of like slavery.
Yeah. Yes,
What
very
are
much
some of
so.
the warning signs that we need to be looking at? I suppose every time there's a culture or population group that's ostracized, that's probably a big warning sign, right?
Absolutely, it's a big warning sign. Also, to look for what I call the charlatans. These would be people who um, try to pretend that they are helping a certain group of people
Mm,
because they have compassion and care about those people, but yet they show animosity toward another group of people. In other words, we care about the issue of, take racism, for example, and they say, oh, we care about it, that's our issue, but then they turn around and they're racist against other people. So the charlatans
mhm.
have to be identified and you have to recognize them for what they are and say, okay, people should care about racism and they should want to do something about it. But if they say they care about it, but exhibiting hatred over here, they're not empathetic people. They're charlatans.
Consistency.
Yeah, exactly.
Very interesting. So for those of that are just listening to the radio interview and aren't watching the video, how can people get a hold of you?
You can find me, just Googling my name on the internet, you can locate me. I'm an attorney in California. I'm pretty easy to
Okay.
find. So, and they can go to Amazon and different locations to find my books. And if they just want to find me, they can look me up with the California State Bar or just some other resource on the internet.
I am so glad that you are speaking out and sharing in the way that you are. It's incredibly important what your book and the message is. So thank you for being with us today, and we look forward to hearing more about the movie and everything that's going to be happening, all that exciting stuff.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.